G'day, g'day. My name's Hodge. If you're new around here, welcome to the show. Consider pressing the buttons with the fingers and the things. Today, we are going to be talking, obviously, about Element Optics. They have been kind enough to welcome me into the Pro Staff program, which means I get to play with scopes. Not moments after announcing this, I have already had people ask me how are we supposed to listen to you if you're getting free scopes? This right here, this is how. I have Schmidt and Bender money. I can't be bought, alright? And for what it's worth, in the past, I've made lots of videos on free stuff, and I've whinged about that free stuff as well. So, better believe that if there's something I don't like about these, I will share that with you, but I don't think there will be. I think there's a lot to like about these scopes, and they're designed by shooters, for shooters. They're not really sort of designed to fit like parts out of a spare parts bin like some of the other scopes that I've got, and they have the right type of reticles, the right type of turrets, all of the things that you really want for a good precision scope. They're not perfect for everything, but they are very versatile, judging by the spec sheet. So I think I'm going to enjoy them a lot. Plans for each scope: I have a Helix and a Titan. The Helix is the clean reticle. MRAD, they're both MRAD scopes. I'm an MRAD user. Don't really understand MOA. I know it's an inch at 100 meters or 100 yards or maths. I don't know why people like MOA, but if that's the way you were raised, more power to you. Freedom Eagles and Old Glories. But I like the metric system, and MRAD makes sense to me, so we're going to run with MRAD. But clean reticle on the Helix and dirty reticle on the Titan, which is exciting. I've never used a dirty reticle before. Even on my Bender, that is a fairly clean reticle. It has a range finding piece at the bottom of it, but aside from that, it's just a basic crosshair with mil hash marks. However, the Titan has lots of windage dots. Big old Christmas tree, a big thick boy that comes down below the crosshairs. So I'm very interested to see how that works. I've never used one before, but I'm all over it. It's going to be good. And the Helix for now, I think is going to go on my 308, my Hauer Bravo build. I'm going to flog the piss out of this scope. I have bought a rail adapter so that I can go from dovetail to Picatinny. So we're going to put this scope on a shotgun. We're going to unload bulk shotgun slugs. Going to take 00 SGs. It is going to be flogged around on a 30-30, a 223, a 270, and a bunch of other guns that I've got access to. And we are going to mag dump after mag dump. It's going to be great. So we will definitely be torture testing the Helix. The Titan, I think for now, I'm going to run it on my impact because that's the gun that I shoot the most. And it's nice, like I always like to put my premium scope that I use, like that I pay the most money for, on the gun that I use the most if it fits the gun. And I think the Titan will be a very nice addition to the impact. At the moment there is a night vision scope on the impact, but we'll take that off and do a review on that a bit later on. With all that out the way, this is going to be my first impressions video. So I think we'll start with the baby, the Helix. So Helix is the base model, then Titan is the mid-range model, and I believe the Nexus is the top of the range model, which I don't have with me. So we will start with the Helix, and if the prices for the Helix are consistent with the prices overseas, which I imagine they would be, this is $399 US, which means you're going to pay in Australia, because we have a 10% GST plus the conversion rate, you're going to be looking at somewhere between sort of $650 and $700, I think. But that remains to be seen. Don't quote me on that. We'll have to wait and see what they come up as once the Australian distributors get a hold of them. But that's what I would be expecting. So we're sort of looking at something in the same price bracket as Optizan scopes. And I quite like Optizan scopes. I had one previously on my FX Crown. My dad has one on his Impact and also on his little CZ, and I've seen them used on centerfires as well, and they're quite nice. They have lots of good features as well, but they're not as nice as these, from what I can see so far. So, we open the box, take the foam out, and just for a moment, take a moment to appreciate the clean branding on the box. It's beautiful, lovely. Tells you everything you need to know on the box end. Makes it easy to identify which scope you're trying to buy, which is more than can be said for the Schmidt & Bender box that I have here. just to compare, this here is the Schmidt & Bender, and this is how it comes. It's a cardboard box. You get some Gumby bloody bubble wrap and a scope, and that's it. It's just in there. So it's not a very exciting experience for how much you pay for the old Benderoonie. A good scope, don't get me wrong, don't regret buying it at all, but it's a rather lackluster experience compared to what you get with the Element. And even this little Burris over here was quite well packaged as well. So, right, so you get, well I got, I'm assuming you're going to get the same thing, Element Optics sticker, 10 points. I love it when stuff comes with stickers. A little bit of literature on how to use your reticle and how to own your gun, your scope. Lens cloth, that's a nice addition. A couple of Allen keys. We have a magnification knobby thing that screws into the magnification wheel. Sunshade, this is wonderful. I cannot tell you how much I hate it when you pay so much money for a scope and it doesn't come with a sunshade. This Schmidt & Bender, I got it on special for like $3,300 or something preposterous like that, and it didn't come with anything, like nothing. Not even an Allen key. It was just the scope in the bubble wrap in the cardboard box. Go home, pay for the rest of it. And I had to buy the sunshade separately from some country in Eastern Europe because they were the only ones who sold it, and it was like $150 for this little tube, and you're like, plus postage, so big frustrate on that part. But kudos to Element for bringing home the bacon with a nice little sunshade. Ooh, scope caps, they're nice. Scope caps are another thing that really annoy me a lot. It's hard to make a good scope cap apparently, but these ones look alright. Plastic with a little spring in it. We'll pop them on, see how they go. And the Helix. Nothing else in the box. The foam cutout is nice and neat. It's quite lovely. Everything's in there real snug, nothing's moving around. We get a bikini style scope cover. I did see on some of the other videos that other people had a neoprene cover. I can't really see myself using a neoprene cover, but I don't know, your mileage may vary, to each their own. Whatever, but that'll do, that's fine. Plus scope caps, let's see how they go. Fits on there nice and snug. That's a good spring. I like it. I like it a lot. Alright, let's put the sunshade on, because I spend quite a bit of time shooting into the sun like an idiot. Those threads are nicely cut. I've been using the ATN, and they have some sort of cast aluminium threads, and they're just not very good. It's nice to come back to something that's actually been machined. And finally, let's put our little throw lever on. I'm going to have to buy some 30mm rings, because it has been quite a while since I've used a 30mm scope. All of my scopes are either 34mm or 1-inch tubes, because the 1-inch tube ones that I've got, there's one for my Springer and one for my 223, which is running an old Leupold scope, which is a nice scope, but I think it sort of represents the previous generation of scopes that these scopes are now replacing. So yes, there you have it. On the card, dangly doodling, we have a quality guarantee technical inspection by somebody with a stamp, QC02, and recommended torque settings, and a little QR scan code so that you can easily find the video literature on how to do everything from the Element site. The juicy bits, how does it all feel? I'd say that's a nice balance between firmness and ease of use for the magnification ring. Very easy to grip. It has large, nice beveled cutouts on it. The scope is very utilitarian in the way that it's been designed. You can see that everything is very grippy. It looks like it would be very easy to use with gloved hands, and it's all firm but not difficult to use, so that's nice. It looks like on the magnification ring, 6, 12 and 24 are marked in red, so I guess that's for your reticle, because this is a second focal plane scope. Typically I go for first focal plane scopes, but when it comes to a scope of this price bracket, you kind of have to drop a couple of things, a couple of features that are like non-essential to keep the quality high. So no illuminated reticle and second focal plane. So that's two things that I normally would prefer to have, but not a deal breaker on this one, because with these turrets you can dial your elevation. Oh, heavens, that's lovely. Let's see how the zero stop feels. Good and solid. Wow. Close your eyes. Close your eyes and listen to this. Get a bit of speed on it. Ooh. That is just outstanding. So for comparison's sake, that's why I actually have these other scopes here. I wanted to show you and play back side by side in the same conditions what the scope turrets from a scope that is considerably more expensive sound like. Remember that this scope I got on special for $3,300, and at the moment with the fluctuation of the Australian dollar, you're looking at between $4,000 and $5,000 for this scope. Get some stank on it. So that's the sort of scope that I'm used to dealing with to put things into perspective. Like I like to use high-end gear, and this El Cheapo little Helix has a very high-end feel to it. Just doesn't have the high-end price tag. It's very nice. I am going to have to buy some 30mm rings though. That's kind of annoying, I forgot about that. So I won't be able to mount it on anything just yet, but yeah, I've got spare 34s lying around, but no spare 30s. But initial impressions, very nice. Clarity, let's have a look. Nice and bright and clear. It has a fairly forgiving eye box. Let's see what it's like at 6. And all the way up at 24. How are we looking? Feel like it has quite a large eye box. When I say eye box, I mean eye relief, I suppose. The distance that your eye can be away from, there's like an area, a usable area that you can have, and this one's fairly generous. One of the issues that I've had in the past with my bender is that up at the higher end of the magnification, the eye relief is very, very, very fussy. It's difficult to get your head into the right position. It's like you're either in the right position exactly or you're not at all, and it's hard to use at the higher end. So it's nice to see that the old Helix is a little bit more generous. The Titan. So the Titan, I think after the currency conversion and the Aussie tax, this is probably going to be somewhere between $1,200 and $1,300, and it is a much more responsible purchase than the other options that we have on the table here. Over here I've got a Burris XTR2 and the Schmidt & Bender, representing different price brackets, but these are all 34mm scopes. They're all tactical style with the externally adjustable turrets and the tactile clicks varying throughout the different ranges, but they're all sort of designed to do the same thing. The Titan box itself is very imposing. It's much bigger than the Helix box. It's got some weight to it. It's very nice. Let's ooh, lovely. Precision box too. Foam on the top. And the Titan. Wow, that is a big scope. Titan was the right name for it. So we have the bikini cover once again. Put that aside. It fits on there nice and snug. We will screw our sunshade on. It's very satisfying when that's on there. Good Lord! That is one long boy. Let's get rid of this tag. Technically inspected by QC06, different to the Helix. Put it side by side with the old Benderini and see what the size comparison is. Schmidt & Bender is a particularly gigantic scope. It's very heavy. Alright. Yeah, so the Titan is roughly the same size. Not quite as big as the Bender, but a very imposing scope. I feel like it would look tremendous, absolutely fantastic if you put it on a short barrel 22. That would be so funny. Right, so while we're here, let's ghost these clickies again. Interesting. It has a different feel to the Helix. It's maybe it's because the turret is so thick and so big. It's quite a bit firmer than the Helix is. I feel like the Helix clicks maybe feel ever so slightly nicer, but nonetheless these are very nice clicks. Very nice. So just to reiterate, back to the Schmidt & Bender turret. Fascinating stuff. Clarity. Let's see how we're looking. Oh, that's very nice. So we've got a first focal plane reticle, which looks quite fine on low power. Let's wind her up to 25. Very nice. Precise but not overpowering at full power. Slightly bigger eye box than the Schmidt & Bender as well. Not quite as fussy at the top end. We have an illuminated reticle on this one too, which is lovely. Looks like there is an off setting between each of the brightness settings, so that's nice. And same as the Helix, parallax all the way down to 10 meters, all the way up to infinity. Let's show you guys what it looks like through these scopes.
Right, so I don't have a mount for the 30mm Helix, so let's just run the Titan side by side with the Schmidt & Bender. Now, I'm not telling you which one is which. You have to watch through this. So we'll have a quick gaze. This is 24 power. My drink bottle, my water bottle down there at about 110 meters. 24 power on both of them. Let's punch in a little bit. There we go. Which one do you think it is? Drop a comment. Pause the video and drop a comment. Guess which one is which. These two were shot through my scope cam, and they were shot about 2 minutes apart. The time it took me to take one scope off and whack the next one on. So there was cloud cover, and then the clouds moved off, and then second scope went on, and you beauty. So that's why the picture on the left looks a little bit cooler than the picture on the right. It's just that the white balance was affected by the cloud cover. And as we finally punch into our last super close up, which one do you think it is? There's no doubt in my mind that YouTube has compressed the ever-loving mother of buggery out of these two. But on the left-hand side, we have the Schmidt & Bender, and on the right-hand side, we have the Element Titan. You can see flies and all sorts of weird stuff wandering around on the water bottle on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, if you look closely in the background, you can see the ants walking up the tree behind this drink bottle. So lovely clarity, very difficult to tell them apart, and it's only when you get up to 400% bumping it in that you can really see that there's any difference, because you can see on the left-hand side, the Schmidt & Bender, the image is slightly more legible, the wording is a little bit more clear, and it's sort of just starting to fade away and blur out on the right hand side where the Element Titan is. But you would expect that from some extremely expensive, ridiculously expensive German glass versus the Element Titan, which is a budget scope. So good performance from the Element Titan. So there you have it, some initial impressions. I think that is very good quality glass, especially when you look at it side by side to the $5,000 glass. It seems like it's a very high value scope. I wouldn't say it's a cheap scope, it's definitely a mid-range scope, comparable to stuff like the Burris XTR range, maybe even a little cheaper than that. But quality wise, it's a very high quality unit. I'm impressed. I can't wait to start using that. With the Helix, we will have to get a 30mm mount, and we'll run this side by side with other scopes in its price range as well. Mostly being, probably I'll get a 6-24 by 50 Optizan. I'll run that and maybe even see if I can get a hold of a Vortex, and we'll check the glass comparison. I'm not going to be doing too much in the way of particularly scientific testing, because that's not really my lane. I will link some videos in the description if you are chasing actual important technical specs and technical tests, but that's not really my jam. My jam is the smell test. Smells like a good story around a campfire. That could also be the bushfire down the road, but it smells good either way. And the click test, the sound, the hearing, what it feels like, how good it shoots, and optical clarity comparisons side by side. So that's really more the type of stuff that I'm going to be showing you guys. So there'll be more of this to come in the future, but initial impressions, very good. Very impressed by the packaging, very impressed by the feel of the scope and the turrets and all that jazz. And yes, very optimistic. So if you like that, don't forget to smash that like button, and I'll see you in the next one.